Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast, Casa de la Rose. It's a pleasure to be with you all, the four of you that watched the video today, or in general. But thank y'all for tuning
See,
back
this
in.
is why our channel's never gonna grow because you keep saying the two, the one, the zero.
Those few people that watch the videos are very important. So that's what I want to thank y'all for the ones that do watch it. So that's all that matters. But today we are back with part two. I was about to be like two, but part two of our, I said one again. Oh, good lord. Part two of our other video that we talked about. Basically, how our relationship kind of evolved over time as we got together and right after high school. So we're gonna kind of continue on that track. I don't want to. We're gonna talk about just like how we interacted with each other in regards to like how we how our affection changed as we got older. Because obviously when you first start dating somebody, things are you want them to be lovey-dovey all the time. And like we explained in our last video, she wasn't like that. So I'm just,
It's always awkward when you first start dating.
especially
I
when you
don't think anyone has started dating that has the most perfect ooh
don't touch me, bro.
relationship.
Golly. Of course, no, I definitely agree. And I think it was very awkward because I know, as we talked about earlier, I was just so much more affectionate than you were. And that's due to the fact that your upbringing, your childhood was just way different than mine. Even though my parents weren't hugging on me and everything like that, I was just such a big hugger for my family. And
He's just like girls hugging on him.
I do. Well, not so much anymore. I'm only just my family and my lady, obviously. But I think as we moved into your parents' house, living with your mom, I know there wasn't really too much interaction in the way of just showing that type of affection because I know your mom was still trying to get used to the idea of another man living at home, and then on top of that, a black man living
Yeah,
at home.
when I know I think you used to come home and then you'll be like, hey, and you used to try to hug her and she was just still kind of like me, very stiff and
Her mom has
like,
just started accepting my hugs, I think, in the last year or
yeah,
so.
she'll be like, hey, Michael.
Like I hug her.
Like,
I actually hug her now. I haven't hugged that woman
I mean,
since like Cameron was
I
a
mean,
baby. Not even.
the height difference is like quite noticeable. It's like he's up here
What
and
is she
she's
like,
like
four
down
or
here.
five or something like that?
She's like 4'11".
4'11". It's the same thing. The same
No,
height. You
it's
know what I'm
not.
saying? She's still short. It's like a hobbit
I
size.
can't tell her she's below 5 feet because she's like, no, I'm 5 feet. I'm like, okay.
Oh, God. But I'm just like now everything has gotten so much better with like my relationship with her, even though there's still like a language barrier that we can't like we can communicate in certain ways. She speaks Spanish, she can speak broken English, and I can speak a little bit of broken Spanish, and obviously there's a disconnect there. But I think the relationship itself has grown over the last decade, which is
A lot
something
more.
which is a lot better.
Yeah, she
But
considers him one of her kids now.
yeah, which
Yeah.
warms my heart.
Cause
It makes me feel really
she
good.
gets mad because when me and him argue, and he doesn't go to my mom's house every Saturday, we go visit her, and she cooks. Sometimes when I'm pissed, I don't feel like bringing anything home. I'm just like, no.
And
And
then I
then
missed out on the
she'll be like for
pupusas,
those
the
for
caldo,
she'll
the
be
chicken
like
arroz, and sometimes
there
what is
was one
the
time
shrimp? What's the shrimp called?
cocktail de camarones.
What she said. That I'm missing
So
out
there
on
was
that.
one time that she made chicken just for him. So it's like the
Oh, the chicken in the big pot with
no
the red water.
no
Oh, the
chicken
bollo.
salad. Chicken salad.
Oh, what are you talking
And
about the
so
bolillo
then
roll
she
one?
was like, "Hey, you think Michael's gonna want that?" I'm like, "No, he's not." And then she's like, "You don't want to take it for him?" Nah, he's not gonna eat it.
But then again, what she does
And
when I
then
when I take the kids to school,
when I
she'll
was
call
leaving,
me. She says, "Mike, come to my house. Just tell me to come get some." So she still
no,
loves me
I think
regardless of what she says.
she made my brother text you. Remember? If you
Oh, was that
wanted
him?
it, yeah.
But she
I
called
think
me one
she
time too
no,
before.
she did.
Yeah, she called me one time too. So,
Yeah.
but no,
And then she knows now that when I say no, it's because I'm arguing with him and I just don't feel like feeding him. And
Oh my
it's
gosh.
true.
But I love that the fact that after as we got older, like in your opinion, like while we were living at home with her, like how did we interact with each other as far as like just like not how you say you hate PDA, like
hmm
how do we display that when we were
We didn't at
we
all.
didn't.
I think while we were living with my mom, there was like no love and affection shown between either one of us.
Did we ever go out on dates? that you remember?
We did, but remember we had to put the kids to sleep before we left.
Oh, that's for
That's
sure.
the only thing that I would say that was nice about living at home. That I mean, we still had to bathe them. We still had to put
Yeah.
them to bed. Like we couldn't just leave it all up to her. So
And
until
it's
they
obviously
got
when they
to
were like
bed,
when they were young, when they were smaller. You know what I'm saying?
and until they were in bed, I mean, they were already in school though.
Yeah.
So they were old
They're
enough
probably
to
like 5.
go to
They were like
sleep by
6 and
themselves.
7 or something like that.
Um,
But we didn't
and
leave the
then-
house until like I think what would kind of
we could never really go that many places. 'Cause
Yeah.
by the time that we got them to bed, it was already late.
yes, and I think the only places we ever went was like the Cheesecake Factory
And we'll try to like rush to even
or
make it
get
a dinner.
Wingstop, eat it in a truck or something like that.
Or just go for a walk.
Yeah, go for a walk. So we could only go up to like these like the open late places or get like a hot and spicy and a Big Mac with Mac sauce or something like
That
that.
was
I mean
our
a Big Mac.
dates.
I mean a hot and spicy with Big Mac sauce, right? Or
Yeah.
Mac sauce or whatever. But those were our dates, and I think those were the best times that I had that I remember just hanging out with
Yeah.
you. And I mean, we didn't have to be doing the the tango, you know what I'm saying? But but it was those days, those nights that we spent together, just kind of hanging out. Those were like my favorites that we haven't done in a while. Like
Because to
now,
be truthfully honest, I think since we moved out from my mom's, we haven't gone on a date at all.
that's not true. We've gone on dates.
Not really, no.
Well, I mean, we've been busy. I mean, I know you work a heck of a lot.
no, it's just a lot of work to be honest. Just to get the kids to my mom, and then have to pick them up after. I mean, the kids are old now to where they're like, "What time are you getting home?
Yeah,
What time are
pretty
you
much.
picking me up? I want to go home." And I'm just like, "There's just no point at that."
Because
that
they're
rate.
old enough. They're old enough
They're almost old enough to
to
stay
at home. Yeah,
but
but
not
I still
very.
have reservations about that because I know when I was a kid, my mom left us at home during the summertime all day when I was like 11, 12 years old, and I myself back then. How old are we now? We're about to be 30. Huh?
Did you turn it on?
Yeah, of course I
Oh,
turned.
okay.
Girl, you crazy.
Just making
I'll
sure.
beat you up. I'm gone. Anyway, I know my mom left us at home, but I just have so many reservations about doing it now
It's
and
'cause
this time.
Yeah, during
You know what
that
I'm saying?
time, I think my mom, she was able to leave us with our neighbor, but we could still go in and out of the house.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Nothing. But it was just different times back then.
Exactly. So nowadays, like, but the trouble that we had, I think, since we couldn't show that affection in the house. Oh, you're good. In the house, I think one of the issues was that I know we talked about this in a previous video. I had a lot of, I wouldn't say anxiety, but I think I grew like the relationship that I had with your mom was kind of strenuous during the time we lived at home, right? And I know that kind of that wedge that we had between us, or there was a wedge that started to form between us because we couldn't go out much, and when we did, your mom would give us strife.
Not only that, I think it was also we never really saw each other.
Exactly, and that's another issue that we had to overcome is that at the point that her mom was working, so nobody could really watch Cameron, and and at that point, so what we had to do was you had to work early in the morning. I was at home with Cameron while he was at school when he was younger, and then she'd get home, and then I go straight to work, and I wouldn't get home till like 12 o'clock midnight. So
I was already in bed because I had to be up by 1 a.m.
Exactly.
Or 2.
So that
get to work.
that made it worse for us, and we had to overcome that just to be able to stay together. Because there were times where we were just bumping heads all the time, and
I
it
mean,
was
we left each other quite a couple times.
you know what I'm saying. So I think the biggest gap we had was like a year and a half.
Was like your mom even said something about like you can't keep.
I was going back to
forth.
my mom's place the entire time. I think I came back and left like 2 or 3 times, and we just couldn't make up our minds whether or not this was going to work. We were trying to stay together because for Cameron's sake, at the very least, and I think that was the only thread that we were hanging on at that point. You know what I'm saying? And
it's
I
like
think
our child was the one keeping us together.
exactly.
But at the same time, I feel like we had lost ourselves within trying to be parents. Well, being young parents at the time because,
amen.
At 18, 19 years old, the last thing you're focused on is raising a child.
Yep.
So I think between me and him, we hadn't dated enough. We had been friends for quite a while, but we hadn't really actually dated. And then all of a sudden we add a kid into the mixture. And then it was just kind of like, it just went downhill from there.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so important. I think we've talked about this before, or I'm sure it's common knowledge at this point. Nothing wrong with having kids whatsoever. I just think there's just a time in a, not I won't say place, but just a time in your life that would work best for you. I encourage people, like we talked about before, all the time. If you want kids, nothing wrong with that. I love the idea. I hope you become a wonderful parent. I know you will. I know you all will be. But I think the time to do it is at the time where if you're going to go to school, get that out the way, grad school, whatever, Army, Navy, whatever you have to do. I think all those things should come first if you can help it, obviously. And then because after that, after you get settled down, you can take care of yourself and maybe enough money left over to take care of somebody else maybe. And then those two incomes can join.
But then, enjoy your youth. Enjoy when you're young.
Yes.
Because having kids is a blessing within itself, but you can't get those years back.
Exactly. And I think we spent those years at odds with each other. I want to say out of the years that we've been together, there were at least, I would say there was 2 to 3 solid years where we just could not see eye to eye, and whatever affection we thought we had was not there. There were sometimes that she couldn't stand aside of me, and same thing on my end. I couldn't be around her because I was so angry all the time.
We weren't the right fit for each other at the time.
And I think that at that point in our life, I think probably, I would say about 90% of the issues was probably me that I was creating or causing or starting or whatever you want to call it. I think that I was just too angry at myself, and I think I just wasn't in the right headspace at that point.
I think at that moment I think you were mad with the outcome of how we ended up high school. I think you expected
I carried that a lot for the 2012 we graduated. I think I carried that for a couple of years with me, and it just wouldn't sit right with me. Obviously,
everything that we had planned for our lives took a step back. So
and it kind of just kind of fell by the wayside. You know what I'm saying?
And like your dreams tends to become a blur.
Second thoughts, third thoughts.
And I know a lot of people say even though you have a kid, don't let that happen. But it's hard.
We let it happen to us.
Well, we didn't really have anyone to back us up with our kid. So I know that there's a lot of people who have, that are able to get that help. But with us, it was a little bit harder because our parents still work
Exactly.
full-time.
And my mom, she's not a grandma. She's a grandmother, as she would say. So, and she wasn't, I'm nothing against my mom whatsoever, but she wasn't going to stop what she was doing to take care of a kid. Yeah. And rightly so. I mean, I'm not putting that on her whatsoever, or my father, so it was really left up to us, and we weren't going to put our kids in daycare.
It was our responsibility. And I mean, everyone thinks differently. People don't mind daycare at all. I've never been a big fan of daycare.
Neither have I. Even though I wasn't raised, but I did go through a daycare system when I was a child. But
I never did. I was able to be just taken care of by my mom. So it's just the thought of somebody else taking care of my kid, especially just thoughts that go through your head.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
Abuse
I never had
mistreatment and stuff like that
for anybody to take care of my kid at all. So it was either me or him watching him at all times. Right. So, and
within that, like we talked about, I think doing the parent thing and not making that time for your significant other, your partner,
it strains your
relationship. It can really not work the right way. Like it's like oil and water. That's how we were for a couple of years. Like I won't say in the early portion of our relationship,
sometimes
but
you're surprised we made it this far. Sometimes that we talk.
Oh gosh.
That we talk back, but you know what? I think throughout the time of us trying to raise him,
I think we found that.
Yeah. We split a couple times within that time. We dated around, we actually went our separate ways.
Yeah.
And then came to realize we're like, nah.
Hey, you know what she did? She called me one night. I was at my apartment, you know what I'm saying, just playing some video games. And she texted me, "What you doing?" I said, "Who this?" I said, "Oh, yeah,
okay."
That's Judith. I was like, hold up. I was like chilling at the house. And she was like, "You want to go watch a movie with me?" I said, "Oh,
no, I said you want Whataburger."
Nah, no, you were at the movies.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were.
No, I still remember exactly where I was. I was
your version of events are probably wrong.
I was by the Ice Barn. I still remember. I was by the Ice Barn because I was driving to Whataburger. I was hungry, and I was like, "What is he doing right now?"
Yeah. So the dude, she was trying to hang with was like he didn't want to mess with her, I guess. So she came back. She thought I was a rebound, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't playing it. I said I was trying to be cool, you know what I'm saying? Because I was in the cut, you know what I'm saying?
As soon as I was like, hey, you want some Whataburger? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I want to hurt her feelings, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I was just
he was
trying
probably in the background like, whoa.
But we did find our way back to each other, and I think that was the last time that I think when we actually dated and we actually went out of our way to date, we realized, you know what? This can be mended. This can be fixed.
Deal with him.
Yeah. Deal with me.
Put up with him.
What the heck does that mean? Girl?
Put up with him, then put up with somebody else.
Put up with me. Good Lord.
Because, I mean, marriage is about putting up with people.
No, it is not. It's about work and then putting up with people like these people over here.
Putting up with a lot of work.
But I thoroughly think that after we had that split, we were able to somewhat, I wouldn't say find ourselves, but give us the opportunity to see if anything else out there, any other person could fill the void that we may have had. And I know that the ladies that I tried to talk to or date or hang out with, I kept projecting her likeness, I would say, onto these women. And that's not fair. That was unfair to them. You know what I'm saying? So I think I took myself aback and I was like, you know what? I can't do that to these women. You know, that they're not for me. And hopefully they find who they're looking for. But I think that the only person right for me that I came to the realization was her. Period. In the story. And if I couldn't have her, then I knew it was going to take me a longer time to find somebody else that could fill the void that you left after we separated. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I'm just grateful that things worked out the way they did. And I don't think I would go back and change it, you know.
Yeah, because I think while I was dating around, I think there were so many things that he would do that I would see if other guys would do, and I'm just like, and there was too many differences between my beliefs. You know, my beliefs are a main priority to me. And just knowing that other people did not have the same beliefs or were not as centered in God like I was, I could not think about being in a full relationship with them like that. And so I would always think about the things that I would like, even when it came to music. Just certain things like movies and certain things that I had gotten accustomed to because of him. And those people would just not listen. They would listen to something completely different, music that I never really liked, or movies that I was not even interested in, or just those are just small scenarios that I was just like, I can't.
And I'll tell you one thing. After we split, the one thing I always bring this up.
No, here we go.
Check this out. So there's a genre of music called country, okay? And the country genre is something that she hated. I won't say hate. I won't say hate. Sorry, I won't say hate.
I had never listened to it.
Lies all the way around the world. She has heard country music because we live in Texas, right?
No,
so
I had never heard
Christian. You've heard Christian. No, be quiet. Country. So she heard country music before because I played it for her. And she's like, I'll never listen to that.
No, you
After we split.
You don't
look what this girl does. She said the first when I came back to hang out with her after that Whataburger lunch, the movie lunch, right? After that, she started listening to country music. And I was like, country music. Why should listen to country music?
Okay, so growing up, I only grew up even though we live in Texas, I never listened to country music at all.
That's fine.
So the only thing listen.
But you lied.
No, I didn't.
You did.
So the only thing that I would listen to was either gospel music or Christian music. It was just between there. I'd never listened to nothing else unless my cousin was playing it. But other than that, I never grew up listening to anything else.
But my point is, after she said she never listened to it, she was like, I like country music. Oh. And on top of that, now the after the music that I started listening to, the house music that I love to listen to. Again, that's gonna be a video we're gonna share our playlist, our top 10 playlist. Talking about music. You know, she was like, I'll never like that. That music is dumb. I was like, yo, you have no idea. But the country music that she said she'll never listen to, she listens to them daily. I'll leave that where it lay. I'll leave where it lay.
Anyway.
Anyway, but I appreciate you all for taking the time to hang out with us again tonight. Like I said, we're gonna post another video here soon. We're going to talk about something a little bit more serious, but not so lighthearted. But hopefully, it can resonate with some of you ladies out there, if that makes sense. Like I said, we'll talk about that here soon. And I just appreciate y'all checking out our videos and the continued support for those that watch.
And we'll see you next time.